Okay. After a perfect day of practice, we all merge in primordial nature. Yeah. You know, this is a terminology that comes from tantric doctrine, that Mahamudra and Dzogchen doctrines use this terminology, primordial nature. Original. In other words, your Buddha nature. Yeah. The emphasis is on primordial means it's inherently pure. That's what it is. And tantric interpretation is pure and impure is simultaneous also. So this is where the terminologies like co-emergent wisdom and co-emergent ignorance simultaneous come. And that's actually the explanation of Buddha and samsara, sentient being. Ignorance is there. Ignorance also happen, you know. Mistake, misunderstanding. In other words, ignorance is actually a misunderstanding, primordial misunderstanding. And then primordial correct understanding. You can understand like that. Primordially correct understanding take place. This was the example of Samantarbhara Buddha, the Dharmakaya Buddha, true. You see, primordially understood, primordially awakened, primordially never confused. You see, and then true nature. And then there's sentient beings, explanation sentient beings didn't understand your own mind, ignorant came in, misunderstood your own nature. And it's a little difficult one to understand, but it has something to do with the way our mind is, how the mind really is, mind's nature, emptiness, and luminous and clarity nature, and cognitive aspects of the mind, the way it is. You didn't realize you split it, and then ignorant happened. Things, explanation like that, tantric explanation. So the good news is you can correct that. That's what we're trying to do. See, Dharma, cause, condition, all the right cause, condition come together, then the right result will happen. You see, everything is based on that. Cause for pain and suffering is there, pain and suffering will happen. Cause for bliss and happiness is there, then it will happen. Cause for enlightenment is there, then enlightenment will happen. Cause for perfection is there, then perfect Buddhahood will happen. It's like that, right? So, you see, in simple term like this, not very complicated. Yeah. Usually, I think difficult aspect is because, everything, karma, emotion, infinity is the possibility. So complicated is because of that. And then it looks like it's very difficult to identify what's really going on. There's so much thing going on. When it comes to spiritual ideas, there's so many different spiritual ideas too, And then if you have to try and understand all, very confusing and very difficult. People with very high academic degrees, difficult for them to come to understand. Yeah. So from Buddhist point of view, actually, you need to have good karma. Otherwise, you're not going to come to, no matter how smart you are, you're not going to come to the real understanding. You really need a fortune, karmic fortune, virtuous power of virtue to come to the right place. Yeah, like that. Yeah. And it really kind of boils down to karma, people's karma, Millions and billions of people here, there, believe all kinds of things. It's really karma, like that. Huh? And then there's karma for those who do Nyungne. At the end of the day, 3 gone. primordial nature is vibrating. Yeah. It actually, in simple term, means understand your own, innate nature, co-innate, innate, primordial, co-emergent. These are terminologies that tantric doctrines use. Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. Um, and to understand that, technique of understanding that is the simplest technique, to do nothing. You see? So that's the difficulty part, because everybody's doing so much all the time, they don't know how to do nothing. You see? That's the thing. Yeah. Almost like no meditation, training in not doing anything like that. Yeah, it's very fine balance. Those who are in Dharma, you will hear these terminologies a lot. Mahamudra, Dzogchen, these Mahasiddhas always use these various different subtle terminologies, and here and there. It's, you would see, wow, something very precious, something very profound. What is this? What is that? But it's still very difficult to grasp. Yeah. And I myself have seen a great Buddhist scholars, learned scholars, struggling to understand simple theory, simple thing, you see? So wrapped up in all kinds of things, with all due respect, like that. Things like that. So, yeah. Pure faith, pure devotion, I'm telling you, people call faith a, ignorant. No, true faith is actually pure. It's not the fault of the uh, faith. Faith itself by nature is pure. But if somebody ended up believing in some stupid stuff, that person's karma, not the fault of the faith. you know, things like that. Pure mind, faith, devotion, sincerity, and gratitude and so on. You know, these are really highest virtue. Yeah, this this enlightened lineage teaching will say the highest virtue is guru devotion, because that's the most powerful pure energy that you can generate, and this pure energy from your heart will enable you to break through and receive guru's pure energy, so to speak. There really is called pure energy, and that's the blessing. Guru blessing is really an energy, and not just any energy. It's an enlightened energy. That energy to wake you up. You see, so that only will happen if you have a pure devotion. Yeah, and the proof of that is history gurus. Telopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, all guru, all the way, for me personally, all the way to my guru. My guru. Incredible when you talk about his guru. It's just complete devotion. I'll tell you one story, amazing. My guru has in his possession some relics, precious relics of Buddha Shakyamuni. And then his guru's relics. His guru was an incredible being. When he passed away, had a 5-color relics like that. Amazing being, completely enlightened. So my guru, gurus, and my guru has his guru's relics. So over the time, throughout his activities, some major event here, event there, some big stupa somewhere here, there, and he, for the benefit of all being, he'd share his guru's relics to those places and so on. We were in 1986 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Some of you know in Santa Fe, New Mexico, there's a stupa. You know that? Stupa there. It was, I think it was probably was the first Bodhi stupa in North America. Pretty decent size, at least, I don't know, like 60, 70 feet at least, you know. Yeah, it's not quite 100 feet, but like 60, 70 feet stupa, pretty decent size stupa. And then stupa was almost finished. Consecration time, my guru was there, and I was there at that time. And the stupa consecration, okay? And then in the central, the thing called Sokshin, in the stupa, there's some main thing you have to put for a consecration thing. And then whatever, Buddha relics and so on stays there. Actually, it's called Sokshin. I don't know what's. Do you know how to say Sokshin in English? No? Huh? Susan, you know Sokshin? What's Sokshin in English? No, you don't know what Sokshin is. Okay. Forget about that stuff. Okay. Anyway, it's you know what? Okay, let me translate the word. Sok literally means life force. Xing means wood, life force wood. Okay, and so stupa needs to be consecrated, and there has to be a life force wooden stick, which has to be designed in a certain way. All the direction of wood, the tree cannot be messed like east, west, south, north, all those things. And then it needs to be carved in a certain way. Bottom part has Vajra carved, and then the actual part forth, and then it's got all these special mantras needs to be written on, and then the top part has a miniature stupa need to be carved on that wood, life force wood. Okay, and the top part, little stupa, and then inside a bumpa, the of that, this is where the relics are put. Okay, now I'm telling you this story why my guru was there, and then he wanted to put a relics, and then he opened his gao. And then he says, oh my goodness, I only have one relics from my guru, last one. He said, oh, I'm not going to put that. And then there was a Shakyamuni Buddha relics. Okay, I'll put the Shakyamuni Buddha one. Amazing. Can you believe, my guru, his guru's relics, Shakyamuni Buddha's relics over his guru's relics. Oh, okay, I'll put the Shakyamuni ones. Amazing, Sounds kind of maybe strange for people. No, from tantric point of view, guru really is that important. You see, Kalurumbaji, who is because of guru. This is the expression. Milarepa is who is because of guru. Yeah. Last time when I was in China, one of my lama, who was a retreat master actually, and he told me that our pagan monastery, we have one. He's our monastery scholar, but he's no longer in the monastery. He's some kind of big teacher somewhere, some Buddhist college, university teacher somewhere. His name is Gyurme Tsewa. And then my retreat master telling me, he says, wow, Marpa, almost like, and his comments are like, thanks to Milarepa that everybody knows Marpas. Almost like, Gyurme Tsewang had said that to our retreat master. Wow, had it not been for Milarepa, nobody would know Marpa type of thing, because Milarepa became so famous, right? Then I told him, like, no, Gyurme scholar, he got it wrong. No Marpa, Milarepa wouldn't even exist. Marpa exists without Milarepa. Marpa exists because of Naropa. You see, no, and it was this like this very ordinary thinking. Oh, it's actually like thanks to Milarepa that everybody knows Marpas. You see, people are confusion, like not completely. This tells, even though he's scholar, he didn't really understood the true significance of that. That's why he's making this kind of comment. He only wrapped in this ordinary somehow, who's famous, who's not famous, like not really understand the truth, actual thing. And that's why he's making comments like that. Yeah, amazing, huh? Guru. Yeah, Guru principle. It's really understood in Mahamudra lineage. Our lineage is Mahamudra Guru. Guru is the fastest way to enlightenment. Theory is like this. Enlightenment is pure phenomena. Okay, you become a pure phenomena. So, like I mentioned this many times already. Now I'll repeat it again, and that is, you have to become pure in this human form. Now, pure. Everything is pure, so to speak. And if you're not a pure being from day one, you want to try to be a pure being. Oh, it will be very difficult for you to train pure phenomena with everything else. See, but if you are sincere and you're willing to abide by the principles and samayas and whatever the commitments is, then there's still a way. If you have a will, there is a way, and the way is guru devotion. Now again, I must stress, not just any guru though. Guru has to be an authentic enlightened lineage holder. Only then it works. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Like that. Okay. And even you cannot do it with anybody else. If even everybody else pisses you off, so as long as you can just do it with the guru alone, it still work. That's the thing. Now you understand? It still work. In achieving your own training, yourself becoming pure. Yeah, like that. So that's why this thing is so important. And then, I mentioned this again, thing that I'm going to say, and I'll repeat it again. And that is, modern research, brain research, and find out gratitude, it shows in research, brain research, gratitude is source of, so much happiness in your brain. People who are so miserable, completely lacking gratitude, they say. They must be lacking empathy and sympathy and things like that. Those people, no matter what must be so self-centered people though, total lack, just you yourself are the center of the universe, then you're miserable. You see, like that, So gratitude, they say. So this is what it is, I think the guru devotion is ultimate gratitude training. And this is what I feel. So it works, I can tell you it worked for me too, All my happiness, all my joy, all my spiritual success, everything come from that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that. Okay. Yeah. So then you're going to become pure being. Primordial nature will manifest. Everything is this. There's nothing else. You see, Mahamudra texts us. Everything is this. There's nothing else. Yeah. Like that. Yeah. So teacher like myself, we have to repeat these things again and again and again. So it will sink in. So you will start to understand. It will start to make more and more sense as you, how do you say, continually not give up Dharma practice, continue practice, and start make sense, start understand. When I was young, I didn't understand very much too. But I heard all these things since I was quite young, childhood. Little child. And then it sinked in. One quality, so to speak, maybe I shouldn't say quality. One good fortune I had is my past life karma. Even as a little boy, I completely believe in my guru. No matter what he say, if he says something, I'm 100% believe. Oh, he said that type of thing, like that. So I keep on hearing all these teachings, and then even though some of these conceptual Buddhist theoretical ideas that I, intellectually I don't completely comprehend, but I believe, oh, my guru said that type of thing, And then later on, then it starts to make sense. Oh, that was that type of thing, So like this, if you keep on hearing it, then eventually it will, you will have a deeper understanding happen. Yeah. Am I making any sense? I'm maybe just gibberish. No? Spiritual gibberish. Okay. I just stop talking. All right. Take a break. Huh? Question? Okay.
You mentioned that everything is this. There's nothing at all that is not, like it says in the Mahamudra prayer. And that, in resolve to practice excellence, it says specifically that, all the Buddhas are a single atom, all of their children, all of their So you say, bang, the bowl, and vibrate our primordial essence. Is everything the Buddhas on an particle level?
Yeah. Resolve to practice excellent Buddha phenomena is pure phenomena manifestation. And the Mahamudras talk about inherent nature. Yeah. Nature, yeah, underlying truth. This part that Mahamudra talking about. And the Buddha and atoms in atoms, this is Buddha pure phenomena, manifest aspect of phenomena. Yeah. First, you have to correctly understand primordial nature, then manifestation. After that, then you will understand. Then you will understand everything is in union. Yeah. Okay, Stephen, you have a question.
How many people in this world are doing Nyungne?
What?
How many people in this world are doing Nyungne?
How many people? Probably not that many. Actually, yeah, number may not be that great. Nyungne is quite popular in Tibet. Every year, there will be Nyungnes, monasteries, others. There will be like eight, mostly just 8 Nyungne, the most. 1 Nyungne, 2 Nyungne, 8 Nyungne, like that. But mostly Tibetans do that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm promoting Nyungne in the world. Okay, okay.
We have met you and practice Dharma. This is good karma. But what about many who never meet you and never heard about Dharma? So what can be done for them?
People who had never heard Dharma, what can you do? You have to positive influence as much as you can. Everybody has Buddha nature. That's the good part. And then if you can have positive influence, if somebody who never had Dharma connection, maybe you are the first connection, like that. And then if it's really first connection, then influence will be minimum. It needs merit, gongda, in Chinese, not enough gongda, but the connection is already established, like that. Yeah. But most human beings who maybe sometimes reject a little bit, they might have some connection from past, not strong enough, like that. So then some positive influence and things like that, then it can grow. Yeah, it can grow, everything change. You meet one right thing, then another right thing, another right thing, then it becomes better, better, better. The same kind of thing with the wrong thing too. You do one little stupid thing, then next stupid thing is even worse than before one. Like this, then you can go all the way to hell, like that, huh? Yeah. So yeah. So you have to do whatever we can. Try. For instance, every time we walk, we should recite Om Mani Padme Hum for ant and so on. There's a connection trying to establish. So One day, ant will come out of their ant body and will have human birth. You know, then it start like that. You know, so it'll be like it will still be spiritually speaking, kind of like a little, very little baby step, small step. But the seed is planted. You know, like that. Um, uh, Even from ant, like that. You know, but human being, you know, much more potential because human birth is already special. So that much more potential. Yeah. If you can influence, positive influence, you know, positive influence, like, very important. Yeah. And if you're willing to listen to you, positive influence, maybe you can just like, oh, this is a very nice prayer. Why don't you do this every day? Just 5 minutes, you know, like that. And that will increase their merit, gongda, you know, and like that, yeah. Okay. You have one more question?
I have a question. I remember someone telling me about that there's two Nyungne practices. One is for non-dual and another one that's done by a king.
Two Nyungne lineage? Practice?
Yeah, so one Galoma Palmo, another one from a king, she said.
No. No, Nyungne is all from Geloma Palmo. This may be talking about Chenrezig empowerment lineage. Chenrezig, or this Thousand Arm Chenrezig empowerment. Actually, empowerment has officially in Tibet three lineage. Three. One coming from a Tibetan king who's Songtsen Gampo. He was considered Chenrezig emanation. He must be because he's the reason why Buddha Dharma flourished in Tibet. And the second one is Nagarjuna, Longzu Pusa. There's one lineage from there too. Chenso Chen, Thousand Arm Chen is the empowerment, okay? But ours is Geloma Palmo lineage. Nyungne empowerment is Geloma Palmo lineage. Yeah. And the Nyungne time, you know, whoever is Nyungne master will give empowerment according to Geloma Palmo tradition. Yeah, so that might be the one, you know, there's other lineage. Nyungne, in Tibet, Nyungne all came from Geloma Palmo. There's no other lineage than Geloma Palmo. Originally, all came from Geloma Palmo. Later on, it's split. Then it's our lineage, their lineage, and so on. But it all came from Geloma Palmo. Yeah. But now we're going to have our own lineage. Okay, I'm kidding. Time to go.